Microphone check. Let me fix this camera. Let's go here. Boom. Welcome, my main man, Sawand. Good evening. How are you today?
Man, doing good, bro. Hope you are.
Another sunny day in the STL. You are out of North Carolina, right?
Yeah, Greensboro.
Greensboro.
Yeah.
Is that part of the what they call the triad, or that's something different?
Yeah, that's the triad, like Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Brown Summit.
Brown Summit. Okay, so that's one of those. Is it highly competitive there when it comes to real estate investing stuff like that?
Well, this is like the third largest city. Greensboro is like the third largest city in North Carolina. So technically, but I just never see it like that. But technically, it's competitive.
I know that's right. Say the only competition is ourselves, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I'm pretty good. So I mean, you know. So
Cool.
yeah.
100%. So we'll have some people jumping in here momentarily. There's some people
Okay.
watching, and some others will be jumping onto the screen here in a moment. But so what's going on in your world as far as real estate is concerned? Are you buying, selling, doing
Yeah.
deals? What are you doing?
Good start. I mean, I'm definitely buying, of course. Because a good deal is a good deal. But this year is a little different for me. I've always been concerned with acquisitions, buying. This year, I'm more interested in paying off my house. So I'm selling. I'm buying the best stuff. I'm selling the best stuff. The stuff I'm buying, I'm looking to fix and flip. I'm not really trying to keep anything. So my goal is paying off my house. So it's a little different year for me, but definitely a strategy itself. So
So when you think about buying real estate, is it just more so you're looking at it as a flipper, or are you looking at it just say, let's just see what they got and we'll see what play we're gonna run with this?
as is flip. So as is flip right now, or fixing it up to resell.
Mm,
I haven't had the right deal this year come up that I would consider buying it on terms and selling it on terms. But I've always been open to whatever. Whatever makes the most amount of money with the least amount of work, I'm doing it. But really, this year is all about the as is flips, or I say as is flips because I don't really wholesale
mhm.
a lot these days. I'm always gonna buy it, and then if I'm selling it as is, it's going up on the MLS. That just is what it is.
So
And so
that's your number one exit strategy. MLS, let a realtor deal with it. Is that what I'm getting?
yeah, yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So just give me a snapshot of your real estate journey. When did you start really? How did you find out about it? Were you told that you had to get a real estate license, get a bunch of money saved up, get your credit all the way up before you can even start? Were you told the same story I was told?
Mm. Well, I came into the business a little different because I was in car sales at the time, and one of the things that they did at the car business was you know get us some responsibilities. Because if you're a good salesperson but you ain't got no bills, you won't. You'll kind of cap yourself out. So they would encourage us to buy new cars, get a girlfriend, get married, get a house, have some kids, so they had me on that ladder. And so when I first bought a house, I wasn't married at the time. They were just pushing me to do these things. And so my girlfriend at the time didn't want to move into a house and wasn't married. So I ended up renting it out. That's how I got started. And so that house was cool because it paid me every month and it was different from car sales. Car sales, you could have if you didn't sell anything, we didn't have like a real draw system. It was 100% commission at the time when I started. So if you didn't sell anything, you didn't get paid. And
Mm.
so to have the rent check that came in every month without really, you know, my realtor that sold it to me, she ended up getting a tenant and managing it for me too. So that's how I got started.
So
You know,
you basically stumbled into real estate. You really had no aspirations like I want to be a big real estate investor and flip houses
nah,
on
right.
TV. That mess.
Nah, that's not really how it happened for me. I was in sales. And so my second deal came because now, now I had the courage to get engaged to my wife, and now she wants a house. So now I got to go out and buy another house now, which I thought was crazy. But luckily, again, I was at the dealership. You know, I had the right guys around me. They're like, "Oh, everybody, a lot of people have two houses. I have two houses," and I'm like, "Oh wow, people got multiple houses out here." And so they encouraged me. This is where off market comes into play. At that point, is on my second deal, which is our first personal house, because instead of making that first house was just all me. But the second house, when you buying it with your, future wife, you have to like consider the things that she wants. And so, in that time period of becoming a husband, we're driving around in different neighborhoods to figure out what she likes, looking at different styles of house to figure out what she likes. You know what I mean? And then,
It was more of an emotional buy, not necessarily we talking business. We like, oh, do
yeah,
I like
well, it got me into the off market journey because we're driving for dollars, not knowing that. Like we're driving around in all these different places trying to figure out where we want to be, and almost manifesting after we found that area we wanted to be, almost manifesting a certain neighborhood. So one day she was like, "Hey, well, let's just get out and walk the street like we already live here." And so I'm in sales, so we're walking down the street. There's this vacant house that we've seen several times because we come to this neighborhood at least 30 times at this point. I'm like, "Oh, well, I'll just ask the neighbors if they know who owned that house. What I mean? So like we like stumbled across this. So we end up knocking on that door. Miss Shirley Wiley answered. She invited us in for some random reason. And we talked to her for like an hour. We didn't get any information on that other house, but she's just an older lady and trying to figure out what we're doing. And at the end of that conversation, she was like, "Well, what about my house?" Yeah, like what about it? And I looked at my, my future wife, and we're like, yeah, sure, we'll buy it. And she said, "Well, what about my stuff? What about your stuff? Take it." Like she's like, "How long can I get? 2 months. Who knows? Let's do it." So we ended up buying that house off market. Now I still didn't know that we could buy off market. So I ended up connecting with that realtor that sold me the first one. She wrote it up. That's when I learned about dual agency.
So what is
And what
dual agency for people who may have never heard of this?
well, at that time, since I had went direct to seller and I didn't know that I could write it up myself, I connected that agent to me, the buyer, and to the seller. So now the agent is helping guide both of us through the process. So agents don't really get paid 3%. They get 3% on the buyer side and 3% on the seller side. And so in this particular case, since she was helping both of us through the process, she was able to get both sides of the commission. And so when I saw that, I was like, damn, I bet you I didn't need her. You know?
I'm paying them money for no reason.
Yeah. I was like, dang, I bet you I didn't need her to do this.
So that
And
almost
so that led me further down the rabbit hole. So, everything just kept stacking on each other, and yeah.
so basically, when you saw that, did a light bulb go off and say maybe I should get my license and do like them, or that wasn't even in your mind at that time?
No, because I had already bought two houses, no license. So it won't know. I just knew I needed to do it again and learn more about it. So in that same neighborhood at the end of the street, there was another vacant house, and there was still that one across the street. So I figured I'm gonna go for these two vacant houses and figure out if I can figure out who lived there. I would be able to, talk to them. So I didn't know how to find phone numbers at this point. So all I knew was to take like a highlighter piece of paper from Walmart, write my name on it in big letters and phone number, and stick it on to the front door. And I figure if they ever rode by, they would be upset about that. Take it down, call me, cuss me out. You know what I'm saying? So that first house, they never did come by the house. But the second one, Mr. Dennis, they did come by to cut the grass, and they saw that phone number. They took it down. They ignored it. Okay. but I would see them every now and again come over to cut the grass. Finally, I caught them maybe 4 months later after I bought that first house in the neighborhood on Brannock. Um, and when I caught them, they was like, "Oh, you left the sign." Yeah, I left the sign. Great. I live right down the street. I'm a neighbor. I'd want to buy this because I want to see, the neighborhood get fixed up. And he liked that. And he was like, well, me and my brother, we inherited it. My brother is homeless in Charlotte and he keeps running around in the streets, so I really need to help him get some money. But it's my mom's house. We inherited it. I really wanted to keep it, but some money would be nice for my brother. So I ended up getting that house under contract by myself at this point. So I went online and searched purchase agreement. Ron LeGrain came up. So I
Uh-oh.
binge watched videos for 2 nights in order to get the confidence to give Mr. Dennis that purchase agreement. And I still didn't know about wholesaling at this point because I thought I was just gonna buy it myself.
So you stumbled into your first couple of deals, really
Right.
looking for a house for yourself, found out that, oh wow, I don't need a realtor to go drop a contract. It's really not that difficult to put in, some basic information. How do you pay for these properties? I know that's what most people thinking that may be watching. And if you are watching live right now and you want to come on stage, you can click that link that's pinned to the top of the chat. I'm on with Sawand Belcher out of North Carolina. How do you pay for these properties, or how are you going to pay for these properties in your mind at this point?
So the first one I got a mortgage loan for. The second one I got a mortgage loan for. So guess what you think I'm doing with the third one?
Getting a mortgage loan.
At least I thought I was. At least I thought I was. Okay. So I got that property under contract with Mr. Dennis. You know, I rinsed and repeated the process, took that purchase agreement to the bank that financed the first two ones, state employees. And they was like, hey, debt to income. No way. See, the reason why I was able to get the second house via mortgage because the first house I rented out. See, so it kind of like wiped out the debt to income. It actually gave me a little bit more income, right? But the second house, we lived in it. So now it's they can't provide me a third loan. So, I'm kind of feeling it. I'm getting the sweats. I'm like, man, I done told this guy I'm buying this house. How am I going to come up with this? So I go to church praying. I'm crying. They do the altar call. I'm down at the altar call. I'm weeping. You know, you know, and the guy that I would be in front of that comes over to lay hands on me. His name is James Cox, and he's like, what's going on, man? And I was like, man, I don't promise this guy I'm buying this house. I don't have no money. Da da da. The bank is not going to do it. He said, literally, we're on the altar now. Literally, he grabbed the back of my head, like right here. He said, "Did you know you could sell the paper?"
Woo!
I'm like, what? And at the altar, he says, "Yeah, you can sell the paper, meaning you can, sell somebody else the rights to the contract and still make a fee, and they can come in and close the property. The way you find these people is you go to the RIA." He said, he said, it's been years since I've been to the RIA, but go on Thursdays, second and fourth Thursdays at the Longhorn on West Wendover. When you get there, chill out, be nice to everybody. At the end of the session, they're going to have a deal making session. So you stand up with your contract and tell everybody why you got a great deal. And somebody's going to want to buy it. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Because I'm at church.
You didn't come to the church, did you?
Yeah, I'm at church and there's an altar call, surely enough, okay, with all faith, that week happened to be a Greensboro Real Estate Investors Association meetup at the Longhorn on West Wendover. And I stand up and say my gamut at the end of it. And a guy named Adam Spear says, like, hey, I'll take it. I got $1,000 for you right now, sight unseen. I was like, oh, great. Sounds good to me. Took the $1,000, he said, hey, do you know how to assign it to me? I said, no. He gave me an assignment. We wrote it out right then and there at the RIA, and boom, I got paid $3,800 to assign this deal to him. And so I'm like, oh, this is magical. Like, this is, I'm like, this is because at this point, I'm probably 24 years old. So at this point, I've purchased, quote unquote, purchased three houses at 24. The first way I bought money, the second way I had to bring money, but this third new way, I made money.
Wow.
So I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is dope, you
So
know?
basically, you're saying your first wholesale deal was $3,800. You're
Right.
looking at it like, wow, this could be a whole business model, or are you still just kind of still new at this time, or are you kind of
I wasn't even thinking business model. I'm just thinking I can buy whatever I want. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was like. I wasn't thinking business at this point because at the car dealership I was making 100 grand. So the house it wasn't even a thing. I was just at this point I'm at the car dealership, and when I would tell these guys I'm buying a house, they congratulate me. We go out for beers. It's just another celebration on the books of being around good, successful people. It's not really a thing. See, what happened, what made it a thing was in the next 3 months after that wholesale deal, I ended up picking up five other houses. And at that point, and at that point, I on that fifth house, I ended up making $8,000 on. So,
mm,
which was exactly the same amount that I made at the car dealership in one deal. And so at that point, Adam Spear, that guy that bought the house from Mr. Dennis, from me and Mr. Dennis, Adam Spear was like, "Yo, bro, like, why are you here? What you doing here?" I was like, bro, I love selling cars. I've been selling cars for 5 years, bro. I make good money here. He said, "Man, if you scared, just tell me. We can walk out of here together." I'm like, what? So I didn't leave the car dealership that day, but 2 weeks later, I ended up leaving the car dealership. So, you know,
so when you were working in sales, I mean, are there any skills that kind of helped you in getting into real estate, negotiating,
yes.
communicating? What kind of stuff was kind of helping you? You feel transition over into real estate full time?
First of all, it's all about people. It's all about people. That's so. I don't think I would have learned all the stuff I learned at the car dealership if I wasn't under the leadership that I was under. So the leadership I was under told us, hey, we're doing a marketing campaign. We're dropping 40,000 mailers. Here's what the marketing campaign says. Here's what you should say to them. The person that sets the most appointments during the next 2 weeks gets a bonus. You
Woo.
see, like that, you know what I'm saying? That in itself, teaches you something, you know. So one thing we used to do at the dealership was turnovers, TOs. So you were responsible for the salesperson as a salesperson to get the person in the door. But when you couldn't push that client to the next step, at that point, a sales manager came over and did a turnover, and you wasn't supposed to say shit. It was the sales manager's job to push them to get any kind of commitment to buy.
Mm.
And so when you have that kind of training, it's the same stuff in real estate, you know?
So it was basically
So
like a closer. Somebody had to come in and get them
yeah,
to the finish line. You generated the lead. You got them in there,
yes,
and now somebody got to get black ink on white paper.
exactly. So all of that stuff that we learned at the dealership, um, this is what my general manager told me, Scott Bisbee. Years later, he said, "Bro, we was never in the car business. We were in business."
Mm.
So it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. So hope for gain, fear of loss, time kills deals, all that kind of stuff, all the sales stuff that you learn, you know, at any other sales job under the right leadership is the same stuff that you need to be successful in this kind of business. So
100%. So, Sawan, at what point do you become serious and say, hey, I'm going balls to the wall real estate? I don't want to hear nothing else. I'm going to binge watch these Ron LeGrand videos or whoever else I can find. Who were some other people you looked at online? Things like that. Talk to us about that part.
so at that point when I quit, that's when I really got serious. I didn't feel like I left my job. I feel like I gave myself a promotion at that point, to be quite honest. But when it came to mentorship, I wanted to find a guy or guys that was male. They needed to make $250,000 or more per month. They need to be doing fix and flip, rental properties, and wholesaling. You know, and they needed to believe in God. So that was my. Once I left, I instantly start trying to figure out who was going to be my guy. And because I needed that same mentor I got from the car dealership. During this, so I end up linking up with Carlos Reyes.
My
Dope
guy.
dude. Yeah, my guy, bro. I love Carlos, bro. Love Carlos. I reached out to him on Instagram. He responded. We jumped on a little FaceTime. His little mentorship at the time was $5,000. And he was like, yo, bro, you can just make me payments. So surely enough, he allowed me to make payments. And everything, I mean, that guy, the best thing I could have ever done. But
Yeah, because they
uh,
do like something ridiculous, like 100 deals a month or something crazy out there. I think. Or
Oh,
no?
they do, bro. They go crazy. These days they're at 70 to 80 deals a month. At this time when I hired them, they were at 20 to 30, which was still amazing. Which was still amazing. You know, but yeah, they go crazy. So that really changed my life because I still didn't have a lot of money at this point, but Carlos was able to give me he was able to transfer his confidence to me, you know. So like I said, I didn't have the 5,000 in hold to pay him for the mentorship, but so he allowed me to make it in payments. Went out there to Arizona, got the training, came back, you know. I got $2,000 in my account at this point. I was able to call him, and when I asked him for his advice, he said, how much negative will your bank allow you to go? And literally, literally, and we blasted the marketing budget. Big 20,000 list. You know what I mean. We skipped trade. We just my account went negative that $2,500, but I had 99 callbacks and 40 voicemails from those marketing campaigns that he helped me run, and that helped me get my first hire. Okay, and my first hire made their first sale. They got their first deal under contract from those voicemails because
Wow.
So that was a complete like game changer. It hasn't been the same ever since then.
So you had to have that push to say you can believe in yourself, spend the money. A lot of people want to get in the game and I'm gonna do it all cheap. I'm gonna do it all free. What do you think about that? Should someone spend the money on the marketing, spend the money on the education, spend the money on improving themselves, or should they just try to do it all a cheap and free way? What's your thoughts on that?
Make 100 grand, you're gonna lose 10,000. Okay, or spend 10,000. The way you see it, make $1 million, you're gonna spend or lose 100 grand. Make 10 million, you're gonna lose 1 million. So it doesn't really matter if you spend it in a mentor or if you decide to just roll with it and do it on your own. Either way is gonna cost you. It doesn't matter. If you happen to invest in yourself by investing in mentorship, you're just going to happen to have somebody to make it a little easier to avoid the stuff that they already been through. You know, if you decide to do it on your own, either way, you're going to come up, a scenario is going to come up where you don't recognize as a deal. Somebody else gets it on the contract and sells it. Boom, $20,000 mistake. Or you're going to get it on the contract. It's going to be a title issue. You don't know how to deal with it. Boom, $20,000 mistake. Either way, you're going to pay for it. It doesn't matter. Now, I will say sometimes it's easier to just not pay for mentorship, do the hard work, and then pay for it later in your work. But for whatever reason, if you can figure it out, just like I was willing to figure it out with Carlos, and he was allowing me to figure it out with him, then I'm gonna say do it. But either way you pay, it don't matter.
So you're gonna pay with time or you're gonna pay with money, but either way you're
Facts.
gonna pay.
Absolutely. Facts.
What do you think about what you're hearing so far, Art? Is he cooking over here? Is this some of the same stuff you've been running into while you out here willing to deal and doing 50 deals in a minute?
Yeah, man, I'm definitely taking a whole lot of notes on everything right now. A lot of points hitting home for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, it is something, in the back of all of our minds. Oh, I could just do it for cheap, do it for free. But some of the best deals I got came from marketing campaigns, just spending the money. I mean,
Absolutely.
I pulled the matter of fact, the first house I actually bought came from a list I got from List Source. I think it was like $700. That's a lot. Just thinking back on how we had to pay for data back then.
Facts.
Bought that data, skip traced that data, then ran a ringless voicemail campaign. I mean, I don't know, $2,000 into that thing. I
Absolutely.
bought my first creative deal from that absentee owner list that I bought, skip traced, and contacted, and I still own that house today. So I
Nice.
mean, it's one of those things you just have to take that leap and one, believe in yourself, have some good teammates around you, and don't take no for an answer.
Yeah, bro. I'm rereading Think and Grow Rich right now. This is probably my fourth time rereading it, and it's better and better every single time. But the first ingredients to success is the desire to be successful, and then after you have a true desire to be successful, um, Jesus, you have to have faith that you are going to be successful and believe that you're going to be successful. And then the second step is you have to create your plan, what you're willing to give up in order to receive your desired, success that you're looking to get. And every single time it's when I read this book and I think about how things have worked out for me, you know, I mean, it lines up every single time. Like I might not, I might not be able to get what I want right now. But if I desire it enough, if I'm able to get obsessed with it, create a goal around it, create a plan, work it, have my wife get mad at me for working so much, miss my kids' field trips because I want it so much, miss the family reunion because I'm fighting for it, I'm spending money so much, boom, it happens, you know. So yeah.
100%. So when we talk about finding what they call motivated sellers, generating leads, I know you've done multiple different types of ways to generate leads. In your experience, what have you found to be the most successful to actually get somebody a fish on the hook?
Yeah, all of it works. Just know that all of it works. You're just not doing enough. But right now, I mean, all of it works. You're just not doing enough. That's what I always tell people. Like, like your test sample. That's one thing I got from Carlos. I was pulling a list at the time before Carlos. I was pulling a list of 1,000. He said, "Bro, if you're not pulling 20,000, get the fuck out of here." Because it's you have to pull way more than everybody else. You
Uh-huh.
know, you have to pull way more than everybody else, and then you have to be seen by way more than everybody else, and then you have to do more than everybody else, and then boom, you are literally living like nobody else. You know, um, so yeah, but all of it works. So, but my favorite marketing channel right now, I'm just so you know, I'm in a creative space right now. My market here in Greensboro, North Carolina, is a little funny. I don't know what's going on, but it's a little funny right now. So I'm into creative deals. Everything is subject to and seller financing for me right now, to be quite honest. Okay.
So
Uh,
you're going straight direct to seller to find these creative deals where you can buy a house on terms with
mhm.
favorable terms. Are you buying them with big chunks of money down, no money down? Talk to us a little bit about the creative process there.
I call it agent deal domination. Okay. The way I'm doing it right now. Like I said, I'm in a little bit different year, but I call it agent deal domination. So I've created an email newsletter, I guess you could call it, an email newsletter for wholesalers and realtors in my area. Okay. And so every week I'm sending out an email teaching them about how to work with investors, you know. So I might drop an email saying like, hey, did you close the deal last week? No, it's probably because you was working with a retail buyer, and the United States Census says that people buy on average one house in their lifetime. You
Uh-huh.
know, you know what I mean? But and the real estate investor needs to buy a house every week to get paid every week. You know, here's how, you know what I mean? Here's what you need to do to work with investors, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And so people end up asking me questions or sending me text message back or asking me about a listing that they have is not selling, or wholesalers say, hey, I got this deal that's not moving. Yo, I had this deal that got locked up, but it got a title issue. And those people end up bringing me all of their problems, you know. And so just yesterday, a wholesaler got in contact with the seller. He didn't have it on the contract. Somebody else did, but it didn't close because of two liens and two judgments was more than their contract price. They got a mortgage in place. They only owe $24,000 on a mortgage. The additional two liens come from the city. They are so I know that the city is down to agree to payments instead of foreclosure. Boom. Okay. The judgments are civil judgments. They're two civil judgments. A credit card from the mom that passed away, and it was like a roofing or windows or something that they had put in the house, but they didn't pay for. Those are civil judgments. Those got filed. Those got filed 3 years ago. I know in my state that they expire in 7 years. So 4 more years, $50,000 falls off.
Woo.
It's only a $24,000 mortgage. You see what I'm saying? The city is cool. The city is cool with those sanitation liens, making payments on those.
Mhm.
I'm like, yo, cool, bro. This is what I can do. I give the seller $1,000. I take over their mortgage payment. I'm gonna take over the mortgage, the liens, and the judgments, subject to. I'm holding it for 5 years, and then boom, I'm selling it after those expire. You know,
Oh,
so
so wait a minute. You telling me basically the information that you know gives you a competitive advantage that other people don't even know this stuff is even possible. Is that what I'm
oh,
hearing?
for sure. Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. No, that's my jazz. Yeah, no, that's my jazz. So that's my favorite marketing campaign that I'm running right now at this particular moment today. If you would have asked me last year or the year before, every year is probably something different, but that's what's working best for me right now. Just because, like I said, I'm in the middle of managing my portfolio, selling the stuff that makes me 100 grand, and then buying the stuff that I can flip. So
100%. So you mentioned that you like doing seller financing, buying houses subject to the existing financing. So when you do this, just for the people that may be listening, you don't need to go put an application, do the tax returns, bank statements, W-2s, all that stuff you did about those first two houses. You simply need a seller who
right.
is agreeable. What type of seller are you looking for when you do this? What are you looking for those? Are you doing expired listings or
Um.
owners?
So
What are you looking at?
Okay. If I were to give you a criteria, it's very, very tough, Chris. It's tough to kind of nail it down. Because so in my house that I live in right now, 22 acres, 6,000 square feet, I bought seller financing. Okay. $2 million crib, I bought it seller financing. So it's kind of hard to like nail it down, but just so you kind of have to have a mindset that anybody and everybody can sell to you. It's all about what you say to them.
Mm.
So that's kind of my perspective on deals. Anybody and everybody can sell properties to you. They will sell properties to you. It's just about what you say to
Wait a minute, Sawand. I gotta play devil's advocate,
them.
but the bank own the house.
Well, banks don't own the house, so banks have a deed of trust. The owners have a warranty deed. So
So the
you know,
banks don't own the house. Just want to be clear, because some people
right.
think that the bank own the house. I gotta see what the bank think about this. We just need the seller to be agreeable to us, the buyer, and we can make a deal with anybody. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. And a lot of times you have to educate these sellers because they don't know. Because on average, they buy one house in their lifetime. You know, but it's more so for you. You're gonna have to train your mindset that things go well for you. You know, that anything that comes your way, you are equipped to handle it. That money comes to you from expected and unexpected sources.
Mm.
And it's okay. It's good. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people not thinking like that. They thinking like, why does this happen to me? That's how they're thinking. But that naturally slows you down, but really you should be thinking in abundance as I can handle this.
100%.
Everything
I
is
used
gonna
to
go
have an
well for
old
me.
saying. I
You
don't
know?
say it anymore. It's okay to be paid for doing nothing. Some people
Facts.
got it in their mind that I gotta go work hard, I gotta stay up late, I gotta do all this stuff to get $2. I'm like, it's okay to be paid for doing nothing. Would you agree
Facts.
with that, Sawand?
Facts. I love it. You know, the same person that can make $10,000 in a month is the same guy that can make 100 grand. You know, it's really just about what you believe you can. You know, um, yeah. So
So whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, either way, you're correct.
you're right. Yep, you're right. Yep.
For sure. So say you are marketing and you come across some deal, maybe it's on the MLS for 147 days. Do you reach out to a realtor or somebody on something like that, or what do you do?
So let's say it's listed by a realtor. It's on the market for 145 days. I'm going to first reach out to their listing agent first. Okay. I'm going to say, hey, I'm an investor. You know, I see you got a property. I'm actually a little interested in it, but I see it's been listed for a little while. May I ask why other buyers aren't interested? A lot of people will say, oh, that's not kind of me to say that. I shouldn't say this. But some agents they will just blab it out. And that's what you're looking for. That means they're desperate to get it off of their hands. Okay. We'll say, and when you find that agent, say, okay, no problem. I don't mind buying despite those kinds of things. But what I need to know from you is, would you prefer me to just work directly with you, or would you like for me to bring in my own agent? I know some people don't want to just work both sides, but other people do. How would you prefer me do it? So that's what I do first. And so if they say, oh, bring in your own agent, great. I'm going to my agent. We can make the offer. If they say, bring it to, I can work on it. I instantly say, hey, look, I want you to look me up. I want you to look me up on Google, on YouTube, in the GIS. I want you to see all the houses I own, and see the stuff I'm talking about. After you do that and you think that I'm a good fit, that I can close on a deal, call me back. And typically they look me up in the GIS, they see the properties I own, that kind of thing. They call me back. Okay, what can you do? What I know I can do is I can take over their mortgage and I can give them the cash that they want outside of their loan. What I know I can do, I see they own it free and clear, is I can put 25 grand down. I'm willing to pay them 4% interest and it'll balloon in 10 years. So I go ahead and give them my offer at that point, after they trusted me. If they don't want to do the dual agency thing, no problem. I'll just have my agent who knows me, that's closed deals with me before, I'll put in my offer for me.
But what about the people that say, oh, that's illegal? You can't just take over somebody's payment. The bank got to tell you that you can do that. What about those skeptics that don't believe in you?
Well, I say, if you have any questions about my offer, I can schedule a time. I can book a consultation with my closing attorney, and the seller and myself. We all can be on a call to ask any questions that helps your buyer feel comfortable about it.
Okay, so you want to close all decision makers, all question askers, all the naysayers, because they'll have somebody whispering in their ear, man, I would do that if I was you.
Yeah.
Well, they do that.
And so my closing attorney has done it for me several times before. We just I got a link. I'll just book a call, and we all get on there together, and it works because now your realtor is not in the way, because you're on a Zoom call like this with the seller. You know what I mean? They get to see you. You get to see them. Your attorney is in the mix. It's perfect, because at that point, it tells them that you're willing to be open and transparent.
Now, would you ever just allow the realtor to go present your creative offer to the seller, or you want to make sure you're in the mix of it every time if you can be?
I very often will let them present the offer, but I am sending over like a credibility pack, that shows my LLC. I'm typically, um, I have a credibility pack, so it shows the LLC. It might show a testimonial in there. I have Google, 5-star rating, that kind of thing. So I do submit that if they want to present it on their own.
So have you ever ran into a problem where the realtor refused to submit your offer? Like, no, this is illegal. I don't want to get in the mix of this. I'm scared and I don't want to do it.
Unfortunately, at this moment, I haven't had that particular thing happen only because my realtor goes so hard for me. They don't really have a choice. You know what I mean? Or they look me up in the GIS, and it's kind of hard to ignore that I own 70 properties, and they can look it up and see it. So I haven't really had that issue.
Okay.
I
That makes
haven't really had that issue yet. So because the if most realtors don't own a property, you know, and so when they see you on the GIS and you show up under Belcher and Belcher Properties 1, 2, 3, BBM Endeavors 1, 2, 3, Triad Housing Group 1, 2, 3, and they like, damn, this dude he is pulling up on the GIS,
okay.
so it's kind of tough.
So I don't want to go too deep in the weeds, but just for people listening,
Yeah.
say are you holding these properties in LLCs? Are you using trust like some people do? What is your thoughts
Subject
around
to
holding
subject
real estate?
subject twos are always in trust. My personal house are always in trust. Seller financing deals, they're in an LLC. Deals that I hold that I had to refinance that I burned, they're in an LLC. You know, um, in a perfect world, the trust have done me the best, but at the same time, everything costs money. So subject twos, all of them are in a trust. Seller financing deals, LLCs, regular deals, LLCs.
Makes sense. Yeah, about 90% of my properties are in trust as well. Not all of them,
Right.
but most of them are in trust. Seller finance, subject to hold
Yep,
them in a trust so we stay off public record and people are
absolutely.
not calling you, hey, you want to sell your house and all of those stuff. We don't get those calls.
Absolutely. I mean, it's bro. I love the trust. I love the trust. I really do.
100%. So back to the creative deals, buying houses subject to. What are the magic words you're saying to these people to make them or compel them to want to work with you on a creative deal, leaving a loan in their name? Isn't that risky?
No. So let's like I said, let's take my personal property. Okay. Now, before I bought this house, okay, I was buying little hood houses, 50, 60, $70,000, on seller financing subject to, you know, you know, 7 years ago, I was taking over subject to deals as $20,000 notes. You know what I'm saying?
I had a couple.
So when I start having the vision, like, hey, bro, it's time for me to get me something bigger. We got a lot of kids. I want some space. You know, hold on, Daddy's on camera, so hold on.
How many
When I
babies do
start
you
wanting
have?
something, a little bigger, I was thinking I was gonna have to go get a loan. See, this is what happened. Okay, so I wanted to be inspired. So I saw some $1 million spots, on the MLS. We ended up going to see one. Have been on the MLS for a year, 365 days. We
Damn.
went to go see it, right? Now, with this particular house, we couldn't even get in it without proof of funds. But I had just bought an apartment complex. So I was able to use my proof of funds from my apartment complex to send to the agent, and that's how I got the showing. Now, they did let my agent know that the seller and their agent was going to be at the showing. Okay.
Wow.
Right. Okay. We loving the house, by the way. Loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it. 20 car garage, 5,000 square feet, loving it, 5 acres, loving it. Now they did their research on me. They were playing music from my wedding, through the intercom system. I mean, it was great. It was awesome. It was God ordained. Right. So at the end of the showing, we have been there for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. The seller is looking me in the face. Okay. He's like, bro, so what do you think about it? I'm like, yo, we love it. He's like, well, are you guys gonna put in an offer? I said, honestly, the only way I'll be able to buy this house is if you was willing to carry the paper. He said, sure. How much would you put down? I was not expecting that at all. I was not expecting that at all. So I didn't even, I was like, I'm like, what are we talking about?
Like, whoa.
Oh, but what it did, we didn't agree on that house. But what it did tell me was that millionaires, just like every other seller that I have bought these 50, 70, $60,000 houses from, millionaires saw the benefit of holding the paper too. And so Yeah, yeah. So that's when I started my little journey, you know, of making sure I was saying the right things. Okay, so what you're saying to them is what you're saying to those particular sellers is the benefits to them. First of all, you're pulling out motivation. Okay, that guy he had gone through a divorce. He had to shut down his doctor's practice. You
Mhm.
know, you know what I mean. He had already bought a smaller house, but this property had been on the MLS for a year.
So
Okay.
he paying two mortgages.
Oh well, the house was paid off
Oh, okay.
on the $1 million crib. The castle house was paid off, but but still on a 5,000 square foot house, 5 acres, 20-car garage. That insurance $6,000 for the year. That was taxes.
Insurance,
15, yeah,
cut the grass,
15,000. Right, cutting the grass on 5 acres is that's
clean,
serious. That's serious.
utilities.
Yeah, that's serious.
You can
So
12 grand for nothing. Like,
you
golly.
know, so so what I'm saying. So first of all, I'm pulling out motivation. Okay. Second of all, I'm bringing up feature benefit. The feature is, a fair amount down, okay, and taking your profits over time. The benefit to doing that is you get hit with less taxes. You see what I'm saying? So you give them the feature and then you give them the benefit of your offer. And when you're able to pull out the motivation and then you're able to back that up by a feature and benefit, they're like, that's interesting, curious, that asks more questions at that point. So you want to make sure that you're not saying the word seller financing. You want to break it down as though, anybody and everybody can understand what you want and you're able to bring out curiosity. Shout out, I literally just got a rent check. I wish I could see this, but I literally just got a rent check.
Cha-ching. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
but um
I got
but
two
yeah,
hits tomorrow. That's late. I say, man, y'all paying. It's gonna hit my account tomorrow, but that's fine.
yeah, bro, it happened. The more rental properties you have, honestly, the more people are late, but it's okay. It's okay. I love my rental
Like,
properties. I think I have $40,000 in mortgages, but then we have $68,000 in rent that comes in, and to God be the glory. You know, to God be the glory. So it's okay. It's okay. That's how I am with it now. I kind of just let it flow
yeah,
because
you don't worry about it. Like, oh,
you will stress yourself the fuck out. This is a long term game. If you want to own rental properties for 20 years, you don't want to stress yourself out. Like if they don't pay, so on the 11th I send out the notice. On the 13th we file. Boom,
it
just
ain't
like
even.
that.
It's no emotion to it or nothing.
No, and see, and most people, once they get the sheriff to come to their door and knock, they embarrassed that they kids answer the door that the neighbors see, so they just end up paying.
They
And
find the money
don't even,
somehow.
yeah, don't even make it a thing. It's okay. It's okay. It really is. It's okay.
Yeah,
But what you're saying to those people is just very basic words, so they can understand how it's going to benefit them. Okay, if sellers are saying that they like cash flow, if sellers are saying that they don't need the money, if sellers are saying that they're doing well, you know what I mean? If sellers are saying, if I could just get this paid for, those are all things that you're looking for in a creative scenario. Okay. Because cash flow ain't really cash flow, but with the seller financing note, it really is cash flow because now they don't have tenants, toilets, insurance, taxes to worry about. They literally are getting exactly the same thing every single month, like clockwork. You
mm,
know, now, so one thing I learned on the hood houses, if you notice, the tax code says if you make $11,000 or less a year, you don't have to file taxes. Okay, so that's included in assets. So take $11,000, okay, divided by 12. That means your mortgage payments need to be less than $800 a month. They ain't got to worry about. They ain't got to worry about that. They ain't
mm,
got to worry about pushing that to the. We ain't got to push that to the IRS because they made less than the minimum amount on that particular house.
right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean it's that's what you're just keeping it basic, but you're noticing when you need to bring up the benefits to the seller.
So figuring out their motivation. Why are you doing this thing called selling this property? What happens if you don't sell this property? What's stopping you, or what's the challenge preventing you from selling this property? Things like that are good questions to ask. Now, when you get these properties, are you automatically thinking traditional rent? Or are you thinking let's put in a tenant buyer on a rent to own? What are some exit strategies you're doing when you acquire these creative deals?
Um Now in 2017, 18, 19, I was initially going straight for the tenant buyer, the lease option. 2021, 22 up till now, my private money game is strong. Okay, my private money game is strong. So I much rather not deal with it and just go ahead and raise money. I call it selling equity. That's what I call it.
Mhm.
I much rather just sell somebody 50% equity. So I still get my assignment fee. I
Mhm.
still get the deal funded 100%. And we just find a traditional tenant or we go ahead and just fix up the property and sell it. So I sell 50% interest in the property for a fee. You know,
So,
that's how I,
but
yeah.
when you're older, you're doing traditional rents like Section 8 stuff like that, or
Um, yes, we have a couple Section 8. Out of 70, I think we have three Section 8. But most of my stuff is private pay or Airbnb. Um, yeah, like I still have maybe five lease options out there. Um, but that's not my first thing I'm going to. When you don't have access to capital, of course, tenant buyers is the first thing you go to because they bring in the down payment that you need, and you're not having to pay any maintenance. So that's the perfect recipe if you ain't got no money in the bank or if you don't have any cash flow.
mhm.
Um, but when you get some access to money,
You
is yeah, it's a little less headache trying to have to find the 10,000 or the $15,000 that you need to take down a property. There's a little less stress. I can just send out a text. 2 days later, I get a text back, and then a week later, we closing. So yeah,
So you're buying these creatively using private money and
yeah.
exiting on either traditional rent or Airbnb. Um, so you like Airbnb, or are you using Booking.com, Airbnb, VRBO, all those sites, or are you just
As many as possible. As many as possible. Hipcamp.com, Airbnb, Travel Haven, as many as possible. You don't know which ones are better than the other until you try them and that kind of thing. So, um, yeah, I
so
got
we have
somebody that was
somebody
here at
managing
my
all that?
property earlier today on Sniff Spot. Sniff Spot is people pay you to walk their dog. You
Yeah, I
know,
saw that
so
on Facebook.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, you keep trying them until you find the ones that you like.
So that's short-term rentals. What are your thoughts on mid-term, like traveling nurses, corporate rentals for longer periods of time, things like that? Are you doing anything in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I consider my short term rentals or my Airbnbs to be that. So let's say the slow season for us is Thanksgiving, so November, December, January, February. During that time, my Airbnbs become let me go over to the hospital or call my connect at the hospital to see what nurses are coming in for the next 3 months. Let me hit DH Griffin to let them know that I got this spot. If they contract and contractors to come in temporarily for 2 months, that I got a spot for them. That kind of thing. So I consider it all to be the same. Let me hit ALE and let them know I got a spot. ALE Solutions is like an insurance company. They book people to stay while they're on their insurance claims. So I consider it to be all the same. I don't say short term or mid term. It's all the same thing for me. It's not a traditional, you know, month to month tenant. You know.
So somebody's managing this though, because when you're dealing with short-term rentals or Airbnb, that can be hospitality heavy. Somebody's managing all that, doing the laundry, doing the cleaning, dealing with all that type stuff.
Yes, yes, yes. So right now I have Miss El Rita, and she goes out and get people from the soup kitchen or wherever she get them from. I don't care. But Miss Elrita, she goes out and find people to help us clean the Airbnbs and clean the laundry. She also goes out and find people to help us cut the grass on all of the vacant properties and at the Airbnbs. And she also goes out and finds people whenever I buy one and we got to do a trash out and it's nasty, or if we need to do a bunch of like a lot clearing, trees be growing up in the house. So Miss Elrita does all of that. I kind of say, hey, Miss Arita, I'm buying this one. I need you to do this, this, and this. She go out and get the guys. I have a couple trailers. She can just pick the trailer up from the house and go do her thing. At the office, which is another one of my houses, I have a bunch of, stuff there for the Airbnb. So you can just go there and pick it up. If
So
tenants
Miss Elrita
don't
running
be online,
operations.
they can just drop off cash or checks at the office. You know,
So
um,
Miss Elrita running them operations over there. Sound like.
Absolutely, and she one of my tenants. And she one of my tenants. So
Wait a minute,
we taking care of each other.
You putting the tenants to work, giving them jobs too?
Oh yeah, Hakeem in my house on camera. I got him cutting the grasses in Winston Salem because Miss Rita be busy with my stuff here on this side of town in Greensboro. So hey, if I take care of them, they gonna take care of me.
That's right.
So yeah.
Hey, cooking like hot fish grease. What you think about what you're hearing so far, Art? I know he spit a lot of stuff out there. You want to have one of your tenants do some work for you now?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, man. That's definitely a really great idea. Get some really good deals going that way for sure.
Yeah, the best ones, like think about your best tenants. If your best tenants pay on time to keep the property clean, they probably could help you out with something. They're probably good enough to rely on. You know what I mean? We're not talking about the worst tenants. They're not living there for free, but your best tenants, they probably pretty savvy. They probably want to make some extra income. You know what I mean? They probably responsible enough to actually take care of your trailer, you know. You know what I mean? They probably have some kind of pride of ownership because they like a nice flower bed at your house that they rent from you. So they're like, oh, I know Mr. Belcher, he definitely don't. We're gonna have to fix this up for him.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
One thing I did want to ask was what ended up working for you on raising private money?
The HUDs. The HUDs.
What do you mean?
There's so much information on a HUD statement. Okay. So at the first piece of information that you should be looking out for on every single HUD. If you've done a deal and you haven't looked at your HUD, go back in your emails and get them. So at the top left is the seller of the property. Okay. In the middle is the buyer. On the right, it says guarantee. Guarantee means who's lending on the deal. Pay attention to that box because sometimes it will say Bank of America. Other times it will say Juan Ramirez.
Like, who's Juan?
Ramirez, he lent on this deal. That's private money. It'll say John Clayton. Who the fuck is John Clayton?
Clayton Bigsby. No.
And so when you see that, or when you see This Is Me Taking Action LLC, you know how to skip trace people. Skip trace them. Say, hey man, thank you for funding the deal for James. I sell him properties all the time. I appreciate you helping us out with this. Well, who are you, sir? Oh, well, I'm the deal finder. I sell people deals. A lot of times I buy them myself, but in this case, I sold it to James because I love doing business with him. Oh, okay. I didn't know he found that from somebody. Yeah, I charged him a fee to do business with me. If I were to bring a real estate deal where you had to lend less and be at a lesser loan to value, maybe I pay you a little bit more interest than James. Would you consider other real estate opportunities directly from me? Maybe. Keep hollering at me. Okay. Boom. Save it in your phone. Lock it in. Potential lender. Okay. When you're marketing your deals to buyers, don't go straight for the wholesale. Say, hey, I'm looking for a partner on this deal. Do you know anybody who would consider partnering if they were to take 50% ownership and get 50% of the profits? Because cash buyers, okay, aren't really cash buyers, first of all, but also they don't want to be cash buyers for long. They really want to be lenders, just like everybody else. Everybody wants to make money without having to do nothing. Duh. Duh. So you need to pitch your cash buyers as though they can still make the same amount of money they making and not have to do shit. So why not have me, the young boy that's selling you this deal, okay, do all the work that you would traditionally do, and you just tell me what to do. We still get to make money together. So that's
Scenario
how
like
that's
that, you're saying the lender, private lender, would get 50% of the deal of ownership, and you would get the other 50% of the deal of ownership. You would handle all of the operations, and they would handle all of the financing for the deal.
that's how I pitch my cash buyers. So let's say that you're wholesaling. You're wholesaling to these cash buyers. They have their own private money guys. Okay. They're gonna raise the money. Okay. Now I'm gonna be 50% owner with my cash buyer now. I don't know who their private money guy is until I get in the deal. Okay. Now I'm helping them do the deal. We sell the deal. I meet the private money guy. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. I I meet that private money guy. Now I'm pitching the private money guy my deals. I stay 100% owner. The private money guy stays private money, be the mortgage. Okay. So that's the two ways that I'm in the beginning. That's the way you're working with private money. You're hacking it from your cash buyers, you know, and then number two, you're going through all of your HUDs, skip tracing those HUDs, saying thank you. Just say thank you for doing that deal with my boy. My boy's been so good to me, you know. You can, I mean, you can. I took that to the next level and just, I took that to the next level and just bought a list of every lender that closed on a deal in the last 30 days in my market. You can just buy a list. They lent on a deal, buy that list in the last 30 days, you
Mm.
know, or you can just have a virtual assistant go through your public records and create that list for yourself. And then boom.
Or you
Yeah.
can get from a title company. Don't tell nobody.
Yeah, right. Or you can get in front of a title. You can just pay the title company or pay your closing attorney and say, "Hey, spit me out this information."
Mm.
You know, and it's the same. Once again, we're not in the real estate business. We're not in the wholesale business. We're just in business. It's the same shit. So you just have to keep rinsing and repeat what you know and take it to the next level every time you want to level up.
Powerful. If anybody does have questions, the time is now to ask it. We want to be respectful of Sawand's time here today. But I have a quick question for you, Sawand. Is
Yes.
there any shortage of money?
So their money is just out there waiting for you. So one thing I love Grant Cardone because he really helped me out with this.
Who's
He
got
said,
my money?
Who's got my money? Who's got my money? You know, they have your money in their pocket. You just has to be able to get them to give it to you. And when he said that, like that just sounds amazing because people really do have your money in their pocket. You just have to have that value. You have to have something in exchange for that to get them to give it to you so you can put it in your pocket. So bro, it's really just about how many houses you can find with equity. That's it.
So the
That's
deals
it.
will sell themselves, it sounds like.
Yeah. And so and just so you know, I'm paying off our personal house here because my goal is I want to lend. Okay. That's why I'm paying off our house. So we have a $2 million house. We bought it on seller financing at 1.25. And the interest rate is like 4%. It's unheard of for this kind of money. So I figure pay off the house, get a first position HELOC, at 80%. So I end up getting a HELOC at 1.8. Now I have lending power, you know, to do what I'm telling you guys to do with those guys. So do what my private money guys do with me. So, we're all we're all doing the same business. We're all doing the same business.
100%.
Yeah.
Jim King, anybody else got any other questions for Sawan before we land this plane? I think the Warriors about to go finish these dudes off in a little bit, and this NBA Finals or this thing.
Nice.
And so I hear you mentioning that you got this $1 million house. A lot of people think that you cannot do creative deals with $1 million properties. Why do they think that?
I think it's just I think it's just a mindset thing. Like I said, I didn't think that until I actually had that experience that day. So that kind of changed my whole trajectory. Um, you know Now it's honestly it's kind of pretty normal. I love my neighborhood. I really do. I went to my neighbors. So first of all, we're the only black guys on the street. So and we use our property to make money. We host events, and at first we are doing soccer games and football games on our field. We have like a 6 acre field. You know, um, yeah. And anyway, so we went down on Saturday to the Purdue family, the chicken farm family, the Purdue family. They live right here on the same street, and they had a yard sale, family yard sale. And I'm like, great time to meet them and to start a relationship. Because like I said, we're kind of the nuisance black people on the street. So I made a little basket, a bunch of roses. I love gardening and stuff, and we took it down there. It was so inspirational. So the first daughter and husband live in one house on 30 acres.
Mm.
They loved us. They're like, oh yeah, the next family member, they're having a yard sale as well. So we go over to the next house right beside them. They got their own nice, pretty little house on 30 acres. Talk to them. We have a good time. Hey, oh, the other daughter's on the other side. She's right there, and they're all three in a row. So we went over there. They got their own house with 30 acres, and I'm just like, this is amazing. It's just like normal stuff over here, So I really think it's about mindset, because for that family, $1 million house is just not even $1 million house. It's just my house. Yeah, it's just a house, you know. And when we drove our truck, I drove my truck down there. They was like, "Oh, you guys should have bought the golf cart." They just assumed we had a golf cart, you know. And so, so I think, like I said, I think it's about mindset. You hang around different people. You have different friends or whatever. You're around a certain circle of people. A certain circle of people think certain things are just normal, and these particular people over here on this street, golf carts to see your neighbor is normal. You know,
You should have just
so
used the golf cart.
yeah, you should just drove your golf cart down.
Like, I need to get a golf cart. Now, somebody told me this a while back. They said rich men play golf. You play golf, Sawan?
So I have raised money on the golf course, okay, but I don't necessarily play golf, okay. But I've raised the most amount of money, to be quite honest. I've raised the most amount of money hunting, to be quite honest. Hunting. Yeah. So if you think about it, hunting guns, I mean, bro, guns are just expensive for no reason. Guys got $2,000 guns with $3,000 scopes, and they taking them out there to spend a week out hunting for a deer, And I mean, and you think you'd have to have that time and the money to be able to buy the equipment and buy that time. So I've raised the most amount of money from just, going out and shooting and, making arrangements with people to shoot, to be quite honest. I think from one investor alone, just from Kendall, I mean, at least 20 million, at least 20 million, at least. He's one of my best guys. He almost says yes to everything, and he's not surprised by anything. You
Wow.
know, yeah, like I hit him with my apartment deal. Um, I hit him with So I ended up wholesaling it out of fear, right? I wholesaled it. I did make 40 grand on the wholesale, so it was cool. But on the seventh day, he hit me up and he was like, Dang, man, I wish you wouldn't have wholesaled it. I wanted to say yes to you, but I was in Cabo and my service was bad. I was like, fuck. you know? And so I ended up hunting apartments after that. I got one that I landed it for like 400. It needed $200,000 work. So he's lending me 600 grand. I sent him a text. He said yes to it within seconds. You know, we got this one. You know what I mean? And on an interest only note for 12 months. So,
Wow.
Rose said, are you going to get a golf cart? I have a golf cart. Yep.
Game up.
Yep. Yep. I'm about that life. So, actually, so when we bought this property, one of my investors came over to celebrate me and give us a gift, and he asked me, "Did I have a four wheeler?" I was like, "Nah." He bought over two four wheelers for me and my wife to ride around on our property. That following week, I went to Polaris and bought a four wheeler. You know, so I'm all of, hey, I want the experience. I want the experience. So
Nothing wrong with that. And
amen.
even when you just mentioned that a deal you wanted to buy, you ended up wholesaling. Something similar happened to me. I had this deal. I tried to wholesale it. Nobody would buy it. They were like, "Oh, there's no comps for it and all this stuff." But this is a special house. I just got it finished. As a matter of fact, here's the main level of this property. I'm going to share it right quick so y'all can see it. So it's basically as it sits when we got it, was a 4 bedroom, 3 bath, but now it sits as a 3 unit house with a 6 car tucked under garage. It's unusual. You won't find another house like this anywhere near this house. And I finally got it up and listed now. And so we're gonna start making some money on it. I had to put it
Nice.
on. So this is this is the main level of the property here. Just a little kitchen, nothing special. Little stuff. I threw some furniture and stuff in there. I'm gonna probably put some more artwork on the walls, but I just want to get it up and listed because I'm like, you gotta start making some money on this thing. So the
Absolutely.
upstairs unit is actually rented. Let me go back. We have a person. We've had multiple people in the upstairs unit, which is this unit here. Um, but I'm like, the rest of the house need to make money. I'm like, why am I, just gonna rent this upstairs and I want to have the main level, and then we built an apartment, which I'll show you here in the next slide. But this is the upstairs unit that's already made, I don't know, 2,500 a month already, multiple times. So
Amen.
this property here, this is the upstairs only, just the upstairs. So this is a huge house, and there's nothing like this. So I don't know. Well, you can't really tell here, but this driveway goes back, and there's a parking lot in the back, and then there's a 6 car tucked under garage where we could basically build another apartment if we really wanted to. But I said, no,
Wow.
let's just get it stabilized first. We got the front of the house. This here goes up to the upstairs unit, which you just saw, and then I'll show you the basement that we just built. Basically, built an apartment down there. It was a regular basement, but I'm like, it's got a door down there. Why not make another unit? Let's see, this little 1 bedroom studio. So I just literally listed this here on Airbnb. Try to get some money. I'll put these little smart locks on it. I like it that you can put your finger on there. I'm like, I need one of them at home instead of putting in codes and fumbling for keys. Put your finger on there. Smart locks. I like that.
I got
Um,
those on my home. Those real nice to have, Chris.
Really game changer. And we got like a little waiting area or like a common space area, a little laundry room. We put 2 washers, 2 drawers set up in there. So I mean, it's a cool little spot, I think. But time will tell. I'm thinking this house. So ARV, when we purchased this property, they were saying it's like 140, 150. But I'm like, man, it ain't no other houses like this. ARV is one thing, but when
Facts.
you're looking at the house of value, I mean, how do you decipher that, someone? When you're looking at a house, do you just look at ARV or do you look at potential value? How do we extract more money out of this house than the average person would? Do you look at it like
Yeah.
that?
I mean, if I see the potential value as more than what somebody's willing to pay for, I keep it. That's how I see it. Houses like that, that's unique like that, and you're not gonna find it. And I can make great cash flow compared to what my mortgage payment is. I'm keeping it because nobody sees the value in it like I do. So, I mean, that's how I typically see things.
Yeah, so this is this unit, this unit. I don't know why I won't show but two at a time, and then this unit. So that's all one house, and we still got a 6 car tucked under garage where we can build another apartment. So I mean, this house, can be literally a cash cow kicking off. I don't know, 7, 8 grand a month or something stupid, fully rented. So I mean, it's like a house like this. I'm glad I didn't wholesale it. Glad we found a way to keep the deal. We
Amen.
a creative deal, keeping the seller in second lien position. And yeah, we bought this deal. So it's probably the most creative deal I ever done. I don't know. I guess I could say that. To put a seller in second and get a
Yeah.
loan on the first is kind of gangster, ain't it?
Oh no, that's great. Yeah, no, that's perfect. They don't know. They don't know the difference.
Yeah, she just wanted to sell it. So I found this deal
Yeah.
through mailing, like driving for dollars. Basically, we sent her some mail, and the lady's like 90 years old, and the house is vacant. It was vacant for like 2 years, so we had to fix a bunch of pipes and stuff in here. But it's all up and fixed now. So I'm like, shoot, ain't no reason to sit up and not have a house.
Absolutely. It looks good, bro.
Cool beans. So yeah, this is the most recent project. We'll see what happens here, and I'll have more to report on it in the coming weeks when it start kicking off big money.
Everything's gonna go well.
That's right. That's right. Any other questions? Let me see. All right, we got something in the chat here. To recap, how much did you put down on your house, and what is your monthly payment? Is that for Sawand? How much?
That might be for you.
Oh, how much did I put down? I didn't put down nothing. The seller, well, so we basically did a hard money loan. The seller was in second lien position. We had to basically create two files to do this because most lenders don't want to see another lender on the property.
Right.
So we closed it with them first, and then we put the seller. Our title company handled all this, by the way. So you got to have a good quality. I'll tell you if you're in an attorney state, or a good quality title company if you're in the title company state that can do these creative strategies because they can really make your life pleasant versus a living hell. So she helped us get this in basically two files. We had to pay a TC to transaction coordinate to make sure all this stuff, the right hand doesn't talk to the left. So it's running concurrent, two different files, got this thing closed off, brought no money to the deal. The only money we had to put into this house was, like I said, a little bit of repairs and then the furniture. So it wasn't nominal value when it comes to real estate.
Nice. Yeah, my personal house, I didn't put any money, quote unquote, I didn't put any money down. My first personal house, I had like $240,000 of equity. So I took out a line of credit with one of my private money guys, and I used that 100 grand for a down payment on my new house, and then I sold the house, made
Uh-oh, you froze up, Sawand. He said made and that mug said, all right, you froze up. You said you made a what on
Oh
it?
yeah. So we used 100 grand to put down from the equity line, and then we sold the old house and made 140,000. So we paid up our bills for a year. So
There you go.
yeah,
Prepaid bills. Yeah, the house I live in came from a wholesaler. They were like, yeah, the house has no equity. You can just go work with them. I don't care, whatever. So you know what I did? Went over there and
yep,
slapped that creative seller
yep.
finance. We bought the house for what he owes on it. I brought $1,200 to closing just to pay the title company for the transaction.
Amen.
I found a tenant buyer, rent to own tenant buyer. He gave me 8,000 down. Lived in a property for a year and a half. Then he ended up moving out because he lost his girlfriend, lost his job. Something happened. Life happens like it always does.
Right.
I said, well, what are we going to do with this house? I'm moving in that bad boy myself. So I live in
Thanks.
this house now. Had it since 2019. It's probably got about a good, I don't know, 80 or $90,000 in equity. And all we did was buy the house and make the payment every month. So
Amen.
don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
Facts.
But my goal is to be like you, Sawand. I need $1 million house. This is about a, I don't know, $270,000 house, something like that. I need $1 million house like you with four
Bro,
car
all you gotta do is start making offers on them. That's it. That's it. All you gotta do is start making offers on them.
Oh, okay. Cool. Oh, that question was for you, Sawand. She said for the guest.
Oh yeah, well that's how I did it. So like I said, my first personal property that we bought in 2016, we bought it for 119. And then 8 years later, it had $240,000 of equity in it. We used a line of credit, not from a bank, from my private money guy. And he kind of left that 100 grand in escrow at my attorney's office. So we was just making offers, and boom, I got this one under contract. So I was able to use that 100 grand as my down payment. The house had tenants in it when I came. When we got it, we let them stay here for another 3 months while we was fixing up the old house. moved them out, and moved in here and sold the other house, made 140 grand. Like I said, paid up our bills for a year. So, so we kind of I mean, we kind of, that was nice. That was really nice. Which
So,
gave me the idea that I didn't want to be an active investor. I want to do more lending so I can be more passive. Because my oldest daughter is 14, so I got 4 years with her, and so spending that time with the family, like I was definitely buying a lot. Not gonna lie, I still bought 60 houses last year, but I wasn't pressed. I wasn't pressed. I had a lot of time. Had a lot of time. So I want that. I want that. I want that.
so Juan, I'm a member of the Sub 2 community with Pace Morby, and they have something
Yeah.
called Gator Lending. I don't know if you looked into something like that. And they got another thing called Gator Wrestling, where they're basically taking some other lender's money and they're positioning themselves in the deal to lend somebody else's money. Are you
Yeah.
doing like that as well?
Yes, I am. So I do transactional lending for other people right now, and I typically get a loan from my private money guys to lend out on transactional deals. And so I'll charge, 2.5%. My lender charges me 1.5, so I'll make a point. So, so if we're lending, 150,000, then I'll make a quick 2,500 bucks. Um, now, right now, I did a deal with one of my students. So my student got this mobile home and a lot. So I raised the funds, took 50% of ownership with my student, and I had my partner put the loan in an LLC that me and him own an LLC in that did the note. So I get a percentage of the note profits and I get a percentage of the cash flow from the rental of the mobile home. So yes. Yep.
Double dipping. Ain't nothing wrong with that, huh?
Yep. So I'm all about it.
Now, are there any books, podcasts, resources you recommend for other people to further their education, to learn more, to get in the right mindset, to think bigger and grow richer?
Think and Grow Rich. Like I said, I'm reading it again right now. Think and Grow Amazing. And make time for it. So like today I'm cutting grass. Okay. So, I'm cutting grass. So but I got the audio book on, you know. It's 9:23, honey. 15 minutes. You can watch TV for 15 minutes and you gotta go to bed. Okay, go ahead. Um, Think and Grow Rich right now. I'm in it to win it. Um, if you want to do now, how to win friends and influence people is a great one. How to win friends and influence people is a great one. It talks about essentially getting people to understand that you're a good person and getting them on your side and to trust you um, in a conversation. So that's a great book. Um, some other ones you guys might know, but oh, let me tell you this one right here. So is raise $250,000 in 7 days. Let me give you the author. Hold on, let me give you the author. Let me
Right?
give you the author.
$250,000 in
In
7 days.
7 days. Yep.
That sounds like something the OG Ron LeGrand wrote when he said, the less I do, the more I make.
Yes.
I said, dang, that's a shift in your mind. I said, the less I do, the more I make.
I have to send you the author of that one, but that's a really good, and it's a short read. It's probably only 40 pages, but it's really good. It tells you how to get in front of people with money, and then it tells you how to present your offer to those who have money, um, and to help them understand that you don't need any money, if that makes any sense. So because a lot of people with money will say, "Oh, well, are you going to put 50% and I'll put 50% in?" They teach you how to position in that book. They teach you how to position yourself as the professional and help educate you on what you're going to say. And like, no, why would I do that? You know, because essentially, the person that raises money, what they want is security. What the lender wants is security. So insurance, collateral, but then also I let people know, well, I don't use any of my money in the deals because I protect my lender's money with my money. So if something ever happens, I want to be able to have extra cash in my account to where if a contractor steals money, I can afford to get the rehab done. You know, if a tenant doesn't pay, I can afford to pay the mortgage.
Right.
So it teaches you how to position yourself with people with money, so that way you can look like the professional when you're going to raise 250,000, but yet you only have 5,000 in your bank account. So helps give you that confidence. So,
We need all the confidence we can get. Now, I know
amen.
you told a few good, positive, sunshine stories, but what are some mistakes that you have made that you have learned from while wheeling and dealing doing this thing called real estate?
Whew. All right. So Friday, I just lost $50,000 on Friday.
Oh,
Just lost $50,000 on Friday. Proof, Lord. Now I'm over it. Praise God.
that just
Like Ty,
happened 2 days ago. How you over that quick?
like Ty Tribbett said, for only one night. Only one night. But okay. So here's what I do. Okay, like I told you guys on this particular thing, a lot of cash buyers won't buy with tenants in it. I buy with tenants in it. A lot of cash buyers won't buy with a title issue. If my attorney has a way that I can solve that issue while I own it, I will buy the house with a title issue. You see what I'm saying? So I've put myself in positions to buy properties, because I'm able to buy them cheaper, faster, get a better deal. And so, yeah. So, but my process is, if I ever buy a property and the seller tells me that the renter is not paying, my process is I always pay. I put a line item that I always pay them cash for keys to move. I always pay that tenant to move. And this one particular time, I was buying 7 houses at one time, all mine. I'm not wholesaling any, and um, and I went outside of my process on this one house because I'm like, dang, I really want to keep this house. I had like one house on the corner right by that house. I had another house 2 blocks away, that kind of thing. So I was kind of territorial, and my ego was getting to me. So
You
I
was
told the
clearing
guy,
the
hey, man,
monopoly.
look, you can stay. I'm gonna fix up the house. I should have never said that. He ended up suing me 2 weeks later. He ended up suing me for the property, for the condition of the property, after I had only owned the property for 2 weeks. Mind you, the day after I purchased it, we put a $7,000 roof on it. You know what I mean. So anyway, so in North Carolina, evictions are easy unless they are suing you. Okay.
Oh,
So so it took me 2.5 years to get this guy out. Meanwhile, code violations is charging me every day in Forsyth County. Um, so yeah, so by the time I finally pay attorneys, I've been paying this mortgage for 2.5 years, finally get them out. I put my own 35 grand in the property. And now I'm at this time period in my life where I'm selling stuff to pay off my mortgage. I go to sell one, and that's when I realized that the city has $108,000 judgment out there on Belcher and Belcher properties too. Now, thank God they were keeping up with the lawsuit and all of that stuff. So they ended up reducing my fees down to 50 grand, but it was still fucking 50 grand of real money, you know? Um, so I mean, shit happens. Shit happens. Like I said, if you're gonna make $1 million, you're gonna lose or spend 100,000 for sure. And so if you plan on making 10 million, you got to be willing to lose a million. It's what it is. You just can't get around it. You
because
know,
money is currency. It's
Yeah.
always moving. So
It's
you can't.
always moving. It's always moving, and that's why you have to continue to pay your tithes. Whenever you make your first 10,000, 20,000, 40,000, pay your tithes because money is moving. I'm telling you, it's just yeah. That's one thing that's always kind of kept me, that's my belief. That's always kept me on an upward trajectory, or at least on a consistent one. I've made $2 million for the last 5 years. So, and it seems like it gets easier and easier. I don't know how. I don't know how it gets easier, but I've made at least $2 million the last 5 years doing the same stuff. RVMs, cold calling, and driving for dollars. I'm you know,
It all
so
works.
so God is good. God is good. So, but you know, yeah,
So if
yeah.
people want to connect with you outside of this, if they watch the replay, see you in my feed, like who is this guy Sawand? How do they connect with you? Who is this? Is me taking action? Who is this guy?
Well, they can reach out to me anywhere. This is me taking action. Instagram, YouTube, on my website. I do classes every month, and then every quarter I do my favorite class, which is an in-person VIP day. We go out to the bar the night before. The Saturday morning, we wake up and do workouts at 7 a.m. We go to my office, which is one of my houses, and we train. We go to my Airbnb and we train on Airbnb. We go to my rehabs and we train and it's like in person. We go to a nice little restaurant, and it's really, I call it a VIP day, but we're really just hanging out in different houses, learning about the different things. It's typically small and intimate, 3 or 4 people, but we in my truck, in my
Yeah,
office, in my houses, um, and but yeah, so you can just reach out to me anywhere. This is me taking action. Hit me up. I'm pretty chill. So
excellent, excellent. How many babies you got?
I got 6 kids.
Woo! You got to catch up, Art. You got to catch up.
Big family vibes.
All right. 100%. Art, you still muted. What have you learned today, Art?
Man, I got 2 full note cards. All right, so I learned about the highlighted sticky notes on the doors.
Yeah,
Um, uh, Taking deals to the RIA and blasting them out that way in person. To make 100,000, you gonna spend or lose 10,000. To make
10%.
10%. To make 1 million, you gonna spend or lose 100,000. Got to pull more lists than nobody else. Be seen more, talk more, and soon enough
absolutely.
you'll live like no one else is. The email newsletter was great. That was really cool. That makes sense.
Hey, just so you know, that's $1 million play. The newsletter, bro. For real, for real, for real. The newsletter is $1 million play, bro.
How do
Yeah.
you get those people in your email campaign?
If I tell you, will you do it?
I will.
Okay. So make friends with a realtor. Make friends with a realtor. You might already have a realtor friend. In the MLS, they can pull a list of every email and phone number of every agent in that particular MLS. Have them export it, send it to you. Boom. There you go. Newsletter.
Wow.
And then your first email, guess what? You highlight your agent as being the agent of the week, agent of the month.
Come on with it.
Damn, Chris, you definitely got to have this on replay, bro, on Patreon.
For sure.
A couple other things, and then I got, like I said, I got 2 note cards here. I'm on the back of the first one right now. So the other thing that I learned was about the city to take payments on the liens and judgments instead of foreclosed. Some liens after 7 years will fall off, so you could just buy them sub two.
Yep, judgments fall off after 7 years.
Judgments.
Yeah, because I just bought a house like that. Matter of fact, I'm talking to a lady about another house like that. She said they're 2 years into a 5-year forgivable. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't let that thing sit. I don't plan on
Let's get
selling
it.
no time soon.
Yep,
So let
exactly.
that 5 years expire and that bad boy fall off. It's only $7,500, but why am I giving them that money?
Exactly. Yep,
Man,
exactly.
that's
Yep.
crazy.
Most down payment assistance is forgivable after a certain amount of time. So
Yep.
so anytime people mention down payment assistance, I always think, ooh, subject to.
We're going to
Damn,
leave it just like that.
Yep.
I did not know that. Hold on.
So we're going to fill all your note cards. You ain't got enough paper over there, Art.
Y'all ain't got
And
enough
really,
time.
bro, and really, the more deals you do, the more risk you're willing to take, the more action you're willing to put in place, the more stuff you learn. Because it's really, I'm learning. I'm learning stuff every day. I never thought that I could get the city to give me a $58,000 waiver on those liens. I never knew that before. Now, every time I run into that with a seller or myself, I'm gonna go to negotiating. Now I know, and that because now there's value to that. Because now, what if I help the seller go from a $20,000, city lien to a $10,000 city lien? Shoot, I can just get that 10,000 in my pocket. You see what
That's
I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the same thing
So
with those loan modifications or those partial
yeah,
claims where they put. I just got somebody $17,000 in arrears put on the back of a loan. People don't even know you can do
exactly,
that. They think you got to bring the money. I'm like, man, you better learn this game. Drop out of
exactly.
college, go learn real estate. I've been saying it for years. Go learn this real estate game. Game changer.
Facts, facts. No, and they really do be doing that too, which is crazy.
I gotta bring 25,000 to catch up their loan. I ain't catching that loan up. You
Hey,
better go
no,
back to the loan.
no,
But they don't know you can do that.
Man, it's so crazy. That's how much was on the arrears on that one I just bought. 17,000. Everybody 17,000 behind.
Oh yeah,
oh
you
yeah, absolutely. Everybody a year behind, bro. Everybody a year behind. And everybody's a year behind because people still float in that wave of the whole COVID relief thing. Banks still got to do the deferment. Um, I forget the official name that it is, but
Moratorium.
yeah, it's a memoriatorium, but I forget what it is. Um, but it's essentially is a delay in payment for 12 months.
oh yeah,
Um,
forbearance.
forbearance, there it is, forbearance.
Sound
Yeah,
like I did them before, huh?
yeah, yeah, I love it.
All kind of little loopholes and
Yeah,
for a year. I like that. You know how much cash?
yeah, it's and so that's why everybody's a year behind because they put forbearance out there as COVID relief, you
Mm,
know, and so that's just what you find with subject to deals, So
I love it. You had another one, Art?
I did. I did want to highlight that I caught when you said you had it was the lady had like some liens and some judgments and then a $24,000 mortgage and you gave her $1,000 and bought it sub two. That's crazy.
yeah,
It's crazy.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Um,
So another thing I learned was that if you make less than 11,000 per year, that don't have to get reported to the IRS.
Absolutely. The way we set that up is we have that seller take that mortgage in a entity. So,
Mm,
because of course, if that entity made less than $11,000, that entity does not have to pay taxes. Make sense?
Yeah, that
So you
does.
just have your attorney set up a trust for him on that particular entity. Make
mm.
sense? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Getting deep
yes,
in
sir.
the weeds. We love it. That's creative real
Yeah,
estate. What can you
yeah.
create?
Try not to go too deep in the weeds because people get confused. But
Man,
that's a big benefit though. That's a big benefit. So a lot of people don't even realize that. So
man, I'm all about this deep end right now. Pause. Pause. That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy. Hey, moving right along. Another thing that I learned, you said looking at the HUD statement for the guarantee that lets you know about who's lending on that. So I actually been like some deals I was looking at recently. I've been looking at on like PropStream or PropWire to say like instead of where I would normally see a bank name, I've been seeing people's names and I've been wondering. It's obviously like there's I mean that's the lender, but I was just like wondering what was all to that for real. But I guess it all makes sense. That's just the person lending, and that's just what it
yeah,
is.
they are a private lender. So now you reach out to them, and figure out was it a one time thing or would they consider it in the future, you know.
Yeah. Then that whole clip you had when you was talking about how you talk to those people about, especially if they lending on a deal that you selling to somebody, that was fire. Definitely got to check that out on a replay for sure. Um, Title companies providing a list of lenders. I think I heard that one before, but I forgot all about that. Um,
Yeah, there's information out here for those who go get it.
Absolutely. And when
Take
you hear something two or three times, that's literally give you an alley oop and you just not catching it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that realtors can pull a list. Just found that out. I didn't know about down payment assistance being forgivable. and then the entity is the one that gotta take them payments for that $11,000.
Yeah, man. That's excellent.
Crazy.
That's good. That's a good game right there.
It really is. It's like I
Yeah,
can't believe it.
yeah. That's
Thank
good.
you.
That's a good game right there.
And that's why I say show up and win. Jim say he just bought a sub 2 with a $10,000 judgment. Jim, you here? Jim
Congratulations, Mr. Jim.
out in Virginia.
Nice.
He on that East Coast time. I know it's getting late out there.
Yeah.
Jim, what have you learned today in this little stream we've been doing? You're on mute right now. Oh, there you go. What'd you say, Jim? You got no audio.
Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
there you go.
Yep.
What did I learn? I've been bouncing in and out.
It's actually kind of fuzzy. I don't know if it's your mic or is that me, y'all, or is this mic out?
It sounds like you underwater. Maybe pull your plug out and plug it back in real quick or something.
I got different stuff today. I might not be able to connect up. I don't know. I got different.
Okay, no biggie.
Yeah.
You understand sign language? Just do like this. Good. No. Jim is a big lender out there in Virginia. Don't tell everybody.
Hey, so Sawand, I did just buy a sub 2 deal about 2 weeks ago now. But the lady was like 15 months behind on her payment. And long story short, we just did a partial claim and put it on the back of the loan.
Nice.
And I got her, it was like $6,000 is what it was total. I ended up giving her to walk away. And
Nice.
the house was completely rehabbed in 2023. Only problem with that is the interest rates at that time was 7 or 8%. So that's what I'm stuck with. But I'm gonna be able to cash flow like at least 400 on it.
Oh, that's great. All right, bro. Forget interest rate, bro. It don't matter. So
You
when
ain't paying no way,
bro,
right?
when I started raising money on those 40, 50, $60,000 houses, I was raising private money on a 30-year note at 14% on those houses. And everybody talked about interest, but I'm like, I got a fixed note for 30 years with no credit on a handshake. Like, who cares?
You're on a napkin.
Yeah, who cares? So, 7%. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, and you ain't paying it no way. So what difference does it make? That's how I be looking at it. Like, as long as I ain't got to pay and somebody else paying it, water off a duck's back. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a question from the chat. Say, do you pay taxes? And have you gotten money back from the IRS? I don't know what that's about.
I mean, do I pay taxes? Yes.
There's loopholes out of that too, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, you
in the
make a
chat
couple
right now.
$1 million. I mean, now do I pay a lot in taxes? No, I don't pay a lot in taxes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how discreet you're supposed to be with a lot of stuff, but I don't pay a lot in taxes, Ms. Rose. The depreciation and all that good stuff from the houses is amazing. So let's just keep it that simple. It's amazing. And like I said, I have a $2 million farm. My zoned as a farm, so I get all of the farming credits as well on top of my investment stuff. So
wait a minute, you got a chicken or a goat? What you got out there?
I have 30. I have 30 chickens, 2 pigs, 6 turkeys. Yeah.
So you get the agricultural benefit.
Absolutely.
Quack, quack, quack. That's crazy.
Quack, quack. Yep, they everywhere. And I let them free range too. So
they everywhere. You're like, man, don't run them over.
Yep. No, they everywhere. I love the turkeys around this time of the year. They start flying. So
there you go. Yeah, they're trying to get away before turkey season, Thanksgiving.
This is a crazy valuable call, man.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have valuable people in your loop. Other than that, I think we're about to make our final descent. We're going to put those seats in the upright position, fold up those folding trays, put up your laptops. We are going to be landing here shortly. Any other questions? Oh, I got King. Are you there, King? Did you learn anything today? If you're there, what have you learned today is the real question. King, man, if you're there. I know you was on before, but might be doing something. Nope. Yep. Going once, going twice. Nope. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I want to say so. Sawand, my name is Art Robertson. Right now, I have 3 doors. Next time you hear me, I'm gonna have more than 3 doors, bro. Word is
Let's get
bond.
it. Let's
Word is
let's
bond.
get it. Let's get it. So how many do you want to have by the end of the year?
10 to 15.
Mm.
10 to
Yeah, you need
15.
to read Think and Grow Rich. You need to read Think and Grow Rich, bro. Because that book talks about having a definite goal and a
Specific.
definite purpose. And because then it's like you don't have to think about it, like, because you're already, it talks about feeling like you already have possession of. And that vision is so clear. Like, I know I got 15 properties in the bag. Like, you know what I mean? So, well, congratulations on your 3. I look forward to seeing you have 15. That's amazing. You know, because honestly, not too many people get a chance to buy 3. So that's dope. That's dope, bro. That's dope.
Most people don't buy one, like the real estate agent you was talking about.
Facts. Facts. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's
They
a
never
fact.
buy
People be
one.
like, how do I find a good real estate agent? Ask them if they closed the deal last month. Ask them if they bought a house. Have they ever been qualified for a loan? Ask them those questions.
Damn, got the heavy hitters out here, man. That's crazy.
That's what we do, my man Sawan. This is me taking action all over the internet. Look them up, support them. If you see them making some noise out here, go say hi. Say, I saw you on that stream. You was over there cooking. Just like we used to cook on Clubhouse back in the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And remember, I don't know if you guys heard it and can implement it, but I'll say it to be clear. If you have a deal in and around my area, I will lend or partner with you on that deal. So if I wasn't clear on that before,
And it
so
got to be in the
you know,
triad of North Carolina.
I'm cool with it being outside of Charlotte, outside of Raleigh, or outside of Greensboro, but definitely in North Carolina, in and around Charlotte, Raleigh, or Greensboro.
See, I think my brother watching. He in Charlotte right now, so he not
Yeah,
too far from you.
yeah. And I think one time you had a deal in Goldsboro. I'm totally down with helping raise funds on a deal like that and buying my equity in like that.
I had a
Yeah.
deal in Lumberton, North Carolina.
Okay, nice. That's what's up. Yeah, I know exactly where Lumberton
Came
is.
off the Clubhouse.
Nice.
Eight
Nice.
thousand dollars on a deal. I never met the seller, never met the buyer, never been to the house. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's what's up.
The seller was in Atlanta, Georgia. The house was in Lumberton, North Carolina. Sold it to a guy who the house needed a roof. The guy who bought the house does roofs, so it was cheaper for him to buy it. So everybody was happy at the end of that.
Nice. That's what's up. But
I
I'm
got
down to I really do deals, so that's why I'm making sure I'm make myself clear. So
I got one more quick question.
yeah,
When I'm counting how many doors I have, do I include my primary residence or no?
yes, I do. I
All
do.
right, so I got 4. I'm on
Yeah,
my way. It's gonna be
yeah,
more. I
yeah.
got
No,
4.
I do. Like on your personal financial statement, you include your personal house on your personal financial statement. So I always include my personal house. Um,
Hell yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Yeah, I love keeping track. I did that for a long time, and I remember the first time it hit me, that I had a million three. I had a million three worth of property. I had 10 houses at this point, and I was just sitting there in my living room at like 2 a.m. and I was adding up all of the ARVs, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's over $1 million worth of properties. So keep counting them doors. It should inspire you every time you pick up one and add it up. How do you handle the utilities? You pay for
Ah,
them.
what, what, but wouldn't you want to pass that on and let the people who live in there pay for it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so with the duplexes, you might have to, pay for the water, and then do like a chargeback or include it in their rent. With your Airbnbs, of course you might have to pay for utilities on that end. With your fix and flips, you want to make sure you get insurance. You want to make sure you have water, you have, electricity and those kind of things so your contractors can do their business. But when you're getting utilities in your name for that temporary amount of time, you do want to make sure that you're using your EIN, not your social, to get those utilities. use that business to get those utilities. Because so like we have Duke Energy here as far as power, and so I was using my personal name at first, but then I was talking to the lady on the phone about my properties, and I had like eight accounts, 8 active accounts at that point. And she was like, "Oh, you really need to have these in your business name because businesses don't have to put down a deposit." And I was like, and deposits on Duke Energy is like $250. So, I mean, put the stuff in your business name because laws are set up to help businesses, in different ways that they don't help people. So, put those utilities, to answer your question, Ms. Rose, put those utilities in your name, but definitely make sure you pay them.
Great question. Because matter of fact, this here, Pretty House Management, this entity doesn't own any real estate. It's just for utilities and to handle stuff like that.
Nice.
We have an entity to do nothing but put utilities in the name. So none of that stuff comes back to me. I don't want my name on somebody's electric bill, gas bill, sewer bill,
Facts.
Any kind of bill. I put it under this Pretty House Management or one of these entities that owns no properties, and all it does is manage so-called real estate. So very important not to put that stuff in your name.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully everybody got some good nuggets tonight. We're going to let everybody get to the rest of their evening. Appreciate you, Sawand. Thank you for coming on, sharing your experience, sharing your knowledge. Anything I can do to help you out, reach out anytime. I love that you're a family man. You're actually helping people realize their dreams through real estate and through business. And, that's the name of the game, helping other people.
Absolutely. I will. I'll definitely let you know when I need something. And like I said, I appreciate the invite too, boss.
100%. All right, Art and Jim and King and everybody else watching on the live or replay, we will catch you on the next one. So with all that being said, do what you do, be who you be, and I'll see you before you see me.
I don't know what you've been doing. You been asleep? Let me wake you up with something. Straight up. Yeah. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Chris Monroe. R to the O-E. I flip houses, rent cars, and make money. I'm not no motherfucker dummy. This how we...